Hey guys, this is the Programming Geek coming back with your second video on web design. In this video, we're going to get started with our website, which is called Geeky Tees, and I'm going to be teaching you guys the bare minimum of HTML, just learning how to get text onto your web browser. So in this one, we're going to learn all about text, such as paragraphs and titles. So the first thing we're going to want to do is open up Sublime Text 2. This is what I had you guys download in the last video, and it's going to be what we're going to be writing all our code on. So open that up. You should come to a page that looks something like this, with the untitled up here, and nothing should be written, just a blank screen. So before we even start writing our code, the first thing we're going to want to do is save this out. It's just a good practice in coding. So on a Mac, you're going to press Command S for Command Save. And in a Windows, I'm pretty sure it's Control S. So since I'm using a Mac, I'm going to press Command S. And you should come to a screen like this. Now, just save it somewhere where you can refer back to it whenever we're using this, because we're going to be using this file a lot. So for example, I'm going to go into my Documents folder, right? Go to my Coding, Web Design, YouTube. And just one thing to remember, we're going to want to call this index.html. And I'll show you guys what that means a little bit later in this video. But make sure to name it index. And make sure, like this is key, to have the .html afterwards. This is the only way that the web browser can know that this is an HTML file to run it as a piece of code. If you save it as just index, then it won't know what it is and it won't be able to run it. So make sure you want to have HTML. And then index is just like a lot of web designers, what they do is that they name their homepage of their website, right? The webpage you get to when you open up a website, it's called the homepage. They name it index, right? It's the page with the navigation and what you see when you first arrive at the website. So we're just going to save that out in our little YouTube folder or whatever folder you made. That doesn't really matter, right? And you should see something pop out called index.html. Now, let's first type something that we're always going to need whenever we're starting an HTML file. CSS, it's going to be different. Whenever we have an HTML file, we always want to start with an opening bracket, a closing bracket, and then go in the middle of that, and then turn on your caps lock and write I'm going to type exclamation mark, doctype, space, HTML. This just tells the browser that this is a HTML file, and thus it's going to read it as HTML. I know I had you guys write .html, but you just have to do this at any beginning of your HTML files. After that, we're just going to open up an HTML bracket and close an HTML bracket, right? And then go inside of those, right? So these are kind of like parentheses, and all your code in this HTML is going to go inside of this. Now in this, let's just write our first piece of code, which is actually going to display something. You're going to write H1 in the first bracket right here. And then in the second bracket, you're going to have this, which means end it, H1. So what this means is that this is going to be kind of like a title, right? Whenever you're reading a book, and in a chapter, you're going to have a title to whatever book you're reading. Same thing in coding, right? This is kind of like a title, H1. The 1 stands for how big the title is, right? It can go from 1 to 6. 1 is the biggest title. It's going to show up as really big. And 6 is the smallest one. I'll demonstrate that later. But for now, just write H1 or header 1 as was what it stands for, and H1. Then you have to write between the brackets whatever you want. So let's write Geeky Tees. Then Command Save, right? You want to save your file. Then now, in order to demonstrate what just happened, we're going to have to open up our browser. So I'm going to open up Safari. And then I'm just going to open up Then you go to your file in your Safari, open file, right? Then you open up that one HTML file that we saved out before. So if I go to coding, right? YouTube, and then open up index.html, we have Geeky Tees, right? So that was the header 1, right? That's why this is really big. Now, let's say that we were to go back to our HTML file, right, in Sublime Text 2, and change this to H2. save out the file again, go back to your web browser, and press Command R or Control R if you're on Windows to reload the page. Geeky Tees just got a lot smaller. Similarly, if we were to go H5 on this, then it'd become even smaller. See? So for now, we'll just keep this at H1. But there's also another type of file. There's also another type, which is just for like text. It's called P, which stands for paragraph, and NP. This doesn't have any kind of size, so that's all you write. P and NP. And of course, inside the middle of the brackets, we're going to put in whatever we want to write. Come find the Geeky Tees at the Geeks Hub. At the Geek Hub. Wow, that sounded corny. Let's say that out again. Switch back to your browser. Reload the page. Geeky Tees. Come find the Geeky Tees at the Geek Hub. So, this was the first tutorial, and it was just the bare minimum on what the website looks like in the beginning. Later on, we're going to be adding more, finishing up the HTML for the website, adding CSS, which is going to be styling the website to actually make it look attractive and make people want to come to our website. But for now, you've learned what an H1 is, header files, and you also learned what a paragraph is, right? Just normal text for writing paragraphs or whatever you want in there. So, this has been your first video on text, and I'll see you next time. Cool, thanks.